24 heavy cruisers, 32 light cruisers, 64 destroyers, and 128 corvettes. It greatly exceeds the garrison of the Termine system. And since reinforcements are only getting the system the day after the enemy arrives, it is their task to make sure to hold with what they have for at least a day. In the said plan, Serena's mercenary fleet will hide in an asteroid belt in the enemy fleet's expected invasion route, and when they are there, they will engage in guerrilla combat. The goal is to weaken the speed of their invasion as much as possible. Having said that, the most powerful ships they have will be fighting the destroyers. Anything above that has high-powered shields, so they are not opponents for mercenaries to deal with. With such a plan, Serena tells everyone honestly that it is hard to say that they will have the advantage. That's why she asks if anyone has a plan, and if there is, they should tell her as soon as possible, considering it might be useful. As we all might already know, Hito is the only one who has the guts to be blunt with Serena. Let's just say that his plan is far more absurd than anything else. He plans to use the enemy's warp-out reaction to sneak in by himself. Then he is going to get in deep and destroy the enemy's flagship, then withdraw. His plan shocked everyone. Even Serena was speechless by what she had just heard. She can't seem to comprehend if Hito is serious or not. Hito then states that he'll just give it a shot. If the enemy's formation collapses in confusion, it will slow down their invasion. If it fails, it just means that he will be the only one who ends up dying, making the casualties closer to 0%. All of his crew members are not scared and worried for him, but it seems like Hito has already decided on what he'll do. Although the plan is weird, if anyone tries to understand it, Serena decides to accept Hito's suggestion with a grain of salt. Now that Hito is about to go on with one of the most frightening and nerve-wracking missions of his life, Serena tells him to make sure coming back alive since the Empire will make sure he gets paid a ton of reward for risking his life. However, it seems like Elma is not agreeing with his plans. Now that Elma is already boiling in frustration, Hito tells her to calm down. However, Elma couldn't grasp the thought that Hito decided to involve himself in such a thing, knowing that a ship like theirs charging into a fleet is beyond stupid. Hito then explains that he didn't come up with the suggestion without thinking. He then walks toward a trophy case stating that he already has a plan inside, and it involves the fatal singing crystal they were able to collect in the last group raid. After seeing the gigantic and deadly crystal, Elma can't seem to believe that a dangerous weapon is still lying on Hito's ship. Hito then quickly explains that they have been so careful for the last few days that the crystals have been with them, so Elma should worry that much. The singing crystal is a super first-class banned item. If this thing bounces and breaks, they're going to be swarmed by a ton of crystal life forms. That said, the item would be a really good use for their raid. According to the plan that Hito has made, they're going to ambush close to the enemy fleet's predicted warp-out location with the ultra-speed drive. And when they warp out, they will stop the ultra-high-speed drive at the same time. They will also use thermal stealth to hide in the debris and sneak their way towards the enemy flagship. And when they are already close, they will use them with the anti-ship reaction torpedo they have. Mimi then states that she didn't remember seeing anyone using the battleship killer weapon. Elma then quickly explains that it's because it is expensive to use, considering one hit costs 500,000 enel. That's why it is not ideal to use such a weapon if it is not a big fight like this. But going back, once the flagship is down, the chain of command will fall into disarray, and the crystal life forms will attack the fleet. The plan is to use this chaos to escape. Elma thinks that Hito's plan is crazy, but she thinks it isn't impossible for Hito and the ship to execute the plan. But she is just furious at the fact that Hito didn't even inform them of his plans and decisions, especially now that they are carrying such a big burden. Their radar then detects several warp reactions. This marks the start of their first attack. Hito then tells his crew to switch to their stealth navigation and move closer to the enemy ship. After finding the flagship's door, which is their planned ship to attack, they hit the ship with their weaponized crystal and make their way out of it as soon as possible. After releasing the singing crystal and hitting one of the enemy ships, a number of gigantic crystal debris from all over the place rushes towards the center, destroying almost everything in the area. Mimi and Elma tell Hito to evacuate as soon as possible while they still have time. However, it seems like Hito has something more in mind. He's planning to shoot the ships one by one and get as much lost cargo as possible to sell it for a greater price. Elma can't believe Hito, but she doesn't have anything else to do. And since Hito is the captain, he technically always gets what he wants. After such an intense event, they were able to leave the zone safely. When they got back to the colony, Hito was seen being so happy that he finally was able to collect much of a good haul that would really be a good add-up to his savings. He then happily asks Elma how much they were able to earn that day. Elma is in shock as she calculates the reward for the 3 battleships and 4 heavy cruisers that they were able to take down. They ended up getting around 10,950,000 enel. However, since they will need to subtract fuel and ammo, Hito will be able to obtain a total of 11,130,000 enel in his savings. But it seems like it's still not enough for Hito, considering he is planning to buy a detached house with a garden on a safe planet. Elma then suggested that since Hito wants to earn that much, they should just enter Graken's government service. With Hito's skills, he'll be able to earn faster after he becomes a knight there. However, it seems like Hito doesn't want to get involved in anything related to the government. But a week later, his plans quickly change when Serena keeps on bugging him to join the army. Every time he says no, the perks become more extravagant. At this point, Hito doesn't know what to do as Serena eventually comes to talk to him personally. It would be like a hunter chasing its prey. That's why Hito decided just to run away. As a result, they are now heading towards the sixth star system, the Elaine system. It's a high-tech star system with medical stations and bio-related colonies. And it is also famous for its synthetic meat and genetically altered crops, which excites the two girls. Meanwhile, Serena is talking with one of her uncles. Her uncle wants her to create an independent unit that can move freely and hunt space pirates. This made Serena happy, seeing she is validated now as one of the leaders. That's why she'll make sure Hito won't get away. The three now have finally reached the Elaine system, a very prosperous star system with 2 inhabitable planets, 3 research colonies, and 1 commercial colony. Since they have a lot of natural resources and state-of-the-art facilities, many merchant ships are constantly coming and going. If there are a lot of merchant ships, Hito also hypothesized that there might be a lot of pirates too. That's why there's probably no shortage of work in the said system. But before all the hunting, they first must look for a place to stay. They all decided to go to the commercial colony, considering they would be able to engage in other recreational activities compared to the research facility. On their way to the colony, Mimi is able to pick up a distress signal. It seems like civilian ships are being chased down by pirates. And so suddenly, the battle begins, but the enemies are running away, activating their FTL drives. On the other hand, the ship they were able to save thanks them for the rescue. And since the pirates were able to hit the civilian ship undercarriage, Captain asks if Hiro and his crew can guard them until the army arrives. Hiro then immediately asks that his service is not for free, and they must be properly compensated. The captain then states that there are no worries about that since they will get the rewards at the office. And just like that, they got themselves a deal. When they finally arrived at the colony, they were shocked to see that it was bigger than the Termine Prime colony. But before they even land, they first jot down their agenda for the day. First, they will sell the booty they got from the pirates, contact Inagawa Technologies, and get their reward. Mimi then insisted that she would be the one to sell the items they had. All pumped up, the two agreed and let Mimi handle things this time around. That said, they then make their way to the army station and get their reward. It seems like the colony always stays nighttime with all of its night lights. When they finally reach the station, they are shocked that they are getting paid 50,000 for 2 ships. But the officer assures that Hito's crew deserves it. While walking back home, Ito started to get curious if the said colony had been hiding their weapons somewhere safe. However, since he doesn't have any answers or hypotheses to such questions, he just diverted his focus to finding food to eat. After such a long day, when they finally get back to the ship, Mimi then tells Hito that they should go to a medical center and have their health checkup. Since Mimi has been checking their ratings, it seems like it doesn't look good at all. Hito then thought that it would be a good idea considering they were in a place like Elaine, complete with all the materials they needed. Mimi is quite concerned for Hito above all considering he has memory loss, and it would be a shame if he ended up getting worse. Little did she know that Hito had been lying to them all this time. However, it seems like Elma is able to read through Hito as she states that she thinks Hiro's memory loss is all a lie. Hito went speechless for a while, but he quickly denied such accusations and stated that he wasn't lying at all. But it seems like Elma doesn't believe his words at all. Alma then stated that it wouldn't hurt if he told her his secret. At first, Hito hesitated, but in the end, he decided to tell her everything that had happened, no matter how absurd it may sound to her. He then states everything from the beginning to the end. However, after hearing all of Hito's words, it seems like Alma still doesn't believe such things are even possible to happen. As she thinks about how Hito is not able to get accustomed to the world's values, and considering he also doesn't have any records at all, as if he came out of nowhere, Alma slowly starts to believe his claims. However, as she analyzes that the parts in Hito's ship are compatible with what is in their world, and the fact that Hito has been doing well since he knows so much about the mercenaries' world, Alma then starts to speculate once again. Hito then tells her that he is not a mercenary in the real world but an office worker instead. But what made Alma make a face was when Hito stated to her that he got sucked into a game, which is the place he is now. Although all the information Hito has stated to her has now started to confuse her more, Alma still thinks that everything Hito says is actually making sense. But before they jump to conclusions, Hito also thinks that he might have been living in the said place for a long time already and might have just lost his memory and identity along the process. Nonetheless, instead of stressing out about such things, Hito decides to take the girls on a shopping spree. He's quite shocked to see that there are a lot of diverse species in the said colony. While they were walking down the street, they were able to come across a dress shop which Mimi's eyes were fixed on. Hito then takes her there to shop for new clothes, and after she tried 1, 2, 3, and more dresses, Hito ended up buying everything as he enjoyed the view. After shopping, they also went to the mercenary guild in the Elaine colony. After registering, they then decided to grab some food to eat since Hito was getting a bit peckish. However, while they were still at the office, as they were about to check their accounts, the officer then told them that they had received a message from the Inagawa Technology that said about the reward. The proposed price is 500,000 enol. Hearing this made Mimi think of something. Since they want to get their bodies checked up, why not just visit the Inagawa-operated hospital instead? She then asks the lady officer if she can ask them for referrals for a physical exam for Hito. And just like that, they found themselves in a big hospital already. While they were still outside, they were able to come across a food truck. But it seems like Hito and Mimi didn't like the taste of it as much, considering even if it says farm fresh, it feels like they just served something straight from the food cartridges. As they enter the hospital facility, a Pac-Man-like robot welcomes them, stating that he is a navigation unit that will guide Elma and the others along the facility. They then followed the cute robot till they reach the doctor's clinic. The doctor then introduced herself, stating that she was Shoko, the assigned doctor for the day. After the brief introduction, they immediately started with the said physical checkups right away. Dr. Shoko then asks for their medical history, and Hiro states that his memories of his life before are getting hazy already. Dr. Shoko then quickly states that it's like he was thrown into this world all of a sudden. With that said, Dr. Shoko then ended up deciding that she would perform a variety of tests to ensure that every single abnormality inside Hiro's body was analyzed. They start with the full scan in the medical pod. Hiro is quite amazed by the size of the facility, which makes Dr. Shoko thrilled. She's quick to brag that the facility has top-notch performing devices. Hearing all this information from her made Hiro think that she should have been doing research instead. But Dr. Shoko, who turns out to be one of the passengers from the ship that Hiro's crew have saved, assures that she is a top-tier doctor and researcher at the same time. After running all of the necessary tests, Dr. Shoko is able to discover that other than the fact that Hiro doesn't have a multilingual translation implant like most of them do, he also has unique humanoid genes. That's why, since such discovery is so rare, she asks him if he could sell some of his genes for 3 million enel. Knowing Hiro, he immediately bites at the offer, not knowing that he'll be giving blood and semen samples. Dr. Shoko even tries to provoke him by stating that he can look forward to the harvesting method. As a natural response, Hiro is immediately flustered by such comments. He even asks what kind of service she offers, indicating he is also looking forward to it. As Dr. Shoko leans forward, Hiro starts stuttering like crazy. She then wears her gloves and proceeds with the procedure. Hiro screams, but we don't know if it's because of pleasure or pain. With that said, as Mimi and Elma enter the room, they start wondering what had happened to Hiro, struggling even to stand up. Dr. Shoko then assures them that the hero is alright and that they don't have anything to worry about. It turns out that Hiro had just undergone a vaccination session, so nothing feisty did really happen. What a bummer. On the other hand, Dr. Shoko is really curious about Hiro's past, but it seems like Hiro is not comfortable talking about such a delicate subject anymore. However, despite this, Dr. Shoko is still blunt on saying that she has many things she wants to investigate. Hiro then quickly shuts her down, stating that she should dig into the genetic data first. Elma then asks if Hiro's examination is already complete, which it is. Mimi then suggests that while they are waiting for the result, they should grab something to eat. Before they leave, Dr. Shoko then reminds them that they should take a rest for at least 3 days, considering they just had their shots of vaccines. Then, before she can even forget, she then calls on Mimi and Elma and tells them something in private. But it seems like Mimi is the only one that accepts the said statement wholeheartedly, while Elma is seen sulking. Now that the physical examination has officially been completed, the details of the examination will be sent to the ship. However, the only thing that stuck in their mind was the fact that the whole examination cost 90,000 enel. It seems like even in their high-tech world, medical expenses are still inevitably expensive. After a long day of walking and examinations, they already arrive at the ship, about to take their much-needed rest. However, Elma is seen visiting Hiro's room. She seemed occupied and spaced out, so when Hiro snaps her back to reality, she then jumps right onto him, about to say something. However, before she could even tell the exact whole word, she ended up passing out all because of drunkenness. The next day, Hiro is confused that Elma can make babies. Although it is known that elves couldn't make babies after they became adults, there are some exceptions. Like if the elf girl suddenly built an emotional connection with the person they can make the baby with. This made Hiro assume that Elma might be very much in love with him. His statement made Elma blush, indicating that it might actually be the case. But before all of that, they decided to have a tour of one of the most popular places in the system. Hiro thinks that it would be such a nice opportunity to learn more about this world. However, even if Mimi and Hiro are so excited about the tour, it seems like Elma is worried that they are about to enter Sierra Corp, the lab-grown meat manufacturer. That's why instead of coming with the two, Elma decides to leave and act as if she remembered something she had to do. However, since she is acting all strange, Hiro is able to see through her actions, stopping her from leaving. Hiro then asks her why did the sign make her want to run and why did she call it lab-grown meat instead of artificial meat. Mimi explains that some meats are different in their world, and lab-grown meat is one of them. That said, instead of letting Elma step away for no reason, Hiro drives her inside the factory. As they enter the factory, an announcement system welcomes them. Hiro, on the other hand, is amazed at the fact that the factory's door is quite strong. However, his amazement turns the other way as the tour continues. As they enter what seems to be an open, empty room, they find themselves moving as the room moves on its own. Meanwhile, Elma is seen sulking and warning them not to blame her for what they are about to witness. As the tour continued, Mimi and Hiro didn't anticipate how lab-grown meat is made. It turns out that this meat specifically is made of a monster. To make it even worse, the tour even showed them how the monster is taken apart. For a while, Mimi even thought of not being able to eat meat for a while. However, in just a split second, she found herself getting pumped up to go on to the next tour. They are now at the Mecha Corp, where it is so bright and lively. Mecha Corp is a hydroponic farm where they grow veggies of different kinds. Mimi then notices something in the facility. Elma then explains that the green pools they are seeing are algae, which is the main ingredients in cartridges. Apparently, its fertilizers are made from waste collected from ships. Hearing this made Hiro think that certain things from the real world like recycling are also practiced in this world, showing no difference other than the fact that it is full of extracelestial creatures and is literally in space. After the tour at Mecha Corp ended, they then moved on to the next. now a beverages factory called Horyu Beverages, which is known to be the leading brewery in the empire. As they enter the facility and go on with the tour, Hito is shocked to know that the fruit used in the brewery is alcoholic in itself. This made him think that genetic engineering in this world is no joke. After their tour at Horyu, they immediately went home to mark their day to an end. The next day, Alma is seen getting scolded by Hito for literally buying so many drinks with 100,000 enel. But it seems like they immediately became okay, laughing at each other. Hito then states she will have no booze for a week, which shocks Alma. Hito then reminds her that if she ever tries to sneak in a drink, he will give her a taste of what Dr. Shoko has given him. This terrified Alma, and as a result she ended up agreeing with what Hito had asked for. Hito is then seen roaming around the central area, trying to kill much of his time as he is now so bored of staying home while they are resting. He didn't bring the two girls with him since Alma was sulking because she couldn't drink while Mimi was working on her operator lessons. Hito doesn't complain that he's all alone. After all, spending some carefree time by himself once in a while isn't so bad. He then looks around the commerce area trying to find game consoles. While he is walking, he comes across the same alleyway he saved Mimi. There, he sees Dr. Shoko getting harassed by some grown old man. Hito and the man then fight, and as a result, the man ends up getting his hands cut off by Hito. The authorities then flock to the area one by one, trying to report everything that has happened. Mimi and Alma also arrive at the scene, with Alma looking so disappointed at the fact that Hito keeps on attracting trouble on his own. They then ask Dr. Shoko what has happened. Dr. Shoko then explained that she was just walking from the hospital to the lab in hopes she could start with their research. However, a group of men came attacking her, with the majority of them taking the briefcase she was carrying. Although the said men tried to take her with them, she kept on resisting until she was able to run away. However, one of the men kept chasing her, and she ended up in the alley where Hito had found her. When asked what she thinks is the motive of the men for abducting her, she answers that she herself doesn't know, but she thinks it might be because of the briefcase she is carrying. It turns out that inside the briefcase is one of the most confidential and important data that ever existed. It's none other than Hito's DNA data. This made Hito worried for his safety, knowing that people would now know of his existence. But on the brighter side, he kept on not showing any signs of extreme stress. Dr. Shoko is then seen taken by the institution's men, as he's now about to get punished. On the other hand, back at their ship, the three didn't anticipate finding an unexpected guest. It turns out it's Serena, who hasn't given up on recruiting Hito to her newly formed anti-pirate mercenary group. Serena thought that Hito owed her a favor for allowing him to engage in the said mission involving the singing crystal. She honestly thinks that if it weren't for coincidence, Hito wouldn't get much recognition he has today. Little did she know that Hito already had the singing crystal on his own. It honestly seems like she should be thankful for Hito, since if it weren't for him, she wouldn't have been promoted into becoming a lieutenant. That said, Serena keeps on insisting that Hito should join her. However, Hito has already decided that no matter what she does, he will never join her team, considering that she might leave him if troubles are about to arise. But instead of giving up, Serena is seen getting pumped up and is now even more dedicated to making Hito join her team. After all, she doesn't like to let her prey get away, and she's willing to do anything to make them stay. But it seems like Mimi and Elma are now more alert than ever in guarding their master. To avoid any unnecessary conflicts on his end, Hito ends up agreeing with Serena and takes up her offer. With that said, Hito's whole crew ended up getting back to the terrain system. As soon as they get there, Hito immediately works as the fleet's tactical advisor. He technically tells the whole team what tactics they should do and how they were able to defeat the space pirates in one go. But before we dive into that, let's have a little flashback. It seems like Hito really didn't want to join any of Serena's teams. However, after Mimi and Elma persuade him to do so, considering they can't believe how easily Hito can talk to the noble in a casual way, he ends up doing what Serena asks for the sake of his crewmates. It's known that in this world, nobles can kill commoners without repercussions as long as they have a reason. That's why Mimi and Elma are terrified at the fact that they might end up getting killed if Hito continues his rude behavior towards Serena. With that said, he ended up doing what he hated doing. After introducing himself to everyone, he immediately went straight ahead to his lectures. He teaches the army about crucial information about the pirates and how they work. He also mentioned that the pirates might already know about the existence of the anti-pirate group, considering some of its members are among the civilians walking down the streets of the colony. He also shows them the map of the Termine Star system before and after the recent search and destroy operation, and as everyone can see, the space pirates' point of operations have changed completely. All this information made the soldier overwhelmed, but they didn't really have a choice, did they? Since all the encounters with space pirates and reports of their activity happen outside the areas the army is monitoring, it's quite apparent that there is an information leak. That's why Hito suggests that the composition of the said anti-pirates fleet should be re-examined on a fundamental level. He also recommended that the fleet should stop using big ships, considering it wouldn't be much practical use considering pirates work in asteroid belts and places with a lot of debris. So, Hito thinks that the fleet should start using destroyers and corvettes, but it seems like Serena isn't that okay with Hito's suggestion. As a result, Hito ended up using the noble's pride to get what was needed. Hito asks her how far she's willing to go for the people of the Empire, and since a lot of people are watching the lecture, Serena immediately answers that as a proud noble, if there's anything she can do, she is willing to do it. And in just a few days, she is able to get the fleet 32 ships in total worth 5 million enel. That same day, the first operation also started. Hito decided to use the transport ship as bait, since if they were to initiate the attacks, there's a tendency that the pirates would just run away. As a result, Hito decided to make the pirates come to them. This way, Hito can get 20% of the pirates' bounty, and the fleet will also get what they want. Serena then reminds Hito that even after the operation ends, he will still continue to accompany them, considering his contract hasn't ended yet. Even after work, Serena is seen inviting Hito to grab something to eat. Hito, on the other hand, seemed weirded out by the action of the noble. However, Serena went on to explain that she just wanted to eat while working and that she was taking him with her so that they could talk about the next lectures for the upcoming meeting. However, Serena didn't anticipate that Mimi and Elma would also come to their supposed date. As a result, Hito hopes that nothing bad will happen in just a while. They all ride Serena's limousine. Hito then thanks Elma for coming since it seems like he didn't want to be alone with Serena. While Elma is all looking happy and giddy, Mimi on the other hand looks very gloomy and irritated. Mimi then tells Hito that he shouldn't let his guard down. Hito then assures her that it's all for work and nothing dangerous will happen. In the midst of the intense tension, Serena then finally talks, telling Mimi that they are going to the most popular restaurant in the district where they serve organic foods. Mimi's mood immediately changes after hearing about food. As they reach their destination, Mimi says that she is kind of nervous. Serena tells her not to be since she will definitely enjoy what they are about to experience. She also informs them that she has arranged for a private room, so they should just forget about etiquette. With that said, if Hito ended up coming with her when there were just the two of them, God knows what might have happened. Hito even thought of remembering what Mimi said, that he should always watch out for the noble. When they have already entered the room, the food is immediately served. The noble, Serena, starts out eating the food in the most ladylike way. However, when the wine was already served, she immediately boozes up in alcohol. She then started shouting her emotions out, saying that they were all the same, looking down on her because she was a woman. Hearing all these emotional outbursts made the three speechless. It turns out that Serena has also shared her own take on Hito, stating why can't he give her the same attention. Hito then states that she's too pushy. It seems like she's so jealous of the fact that Mimi and Elma are able to enjoy Hito's company, even if she saw him first. She felt like it was just unfair on her part that she had been left alone. This also made Hito reflect for a bit. She then went on to say that she was the one who saved him from the Port Authority, but why is he treating her like shit? To flush away her pain, she drinks more and more alcohol. Now that Serena is already passed out, Hito doesn't know what he'll do next. Elma then emotionlessly suggested that they should just finish eating and leave. However, Hito can't do such a thing knowing that Serena is a noble. So instead of getting an extension in the expensive restaurant, they ended up taking her to the ship. While the girls are attending to Serena inside the medical pod, Hito then contemplates what Serena had said earlier. But instead of thinking of it that much, he shakes off the thought and tells himself to just forget about it for both of their sakes. The girls then inform Hito that the princess is finally awake. As they get inside the room, to make things less awkward, Hito told the noble that they should just forget about everything. Hearing this made Serena flustered, maybe due to embarrassment. She then immediately leaves the ship. Afterward, the space pirate mop-up operation went without a hitch. However, they still need to up their game. That's why Serena has suggested that they should attack one of the pirates' bases again this time around. She even asked Hito to participate in the raid as a mercenary. Hito gladly accepted the tasks, of course, with the said well-deserved compensation. Elma and Mimi look forward to the said raid, considering that it will be their first real battle in a while. The strategy this time around is almost exactly the same as the last mop-up operation, so they didn't really have a hard time adjusting. As many pirate ships rush towards them, they prepare themselves as they are about to get rich once again. However, it seems like the enemy has locked their focus on Hito's team. It looks like they are trying to crush them and create an escape route. Although it's not really a bad idea, Hito wouldn't let any of them escape. Hito tries to maneuver Krishna the best way he can. However, even with the ship's inertia control, they are still having a hard time. Some of the pirates are starting to attack them from behind and front. However, with Hito's space driving skills and the ammo built into the ship, everything seems to be going smoothly. But after defeating a few, Mimi is able to pick up more enemy ships coming their way. Around 7 big ones and 2 medium ones are among them. Now it's time for the transport vessels to be remodeled to fit in as support missiles to take part in the fight. Hito leaves the missile control to Elma, and one by one, she's able to blow away the enemy ships, starting with the medium ones. However, Mimi then acquires new data, stating that various heat sources are approaching from the medium-sized ships, which turn out to be heat-seeking missiles. Elma then orders for flares to be released. Amidst this intense fight, Hito keeps a victory smirk on his face, already knowing that no matter what, he will always win the fight. With that said, the new coming enemy ships are wiped out in minutes. The closest ones are located at 10 o'clock, so Hito orders that they should keep going no matter what. This way, they'll be able to make money to fill their bank accounts with. Meanwhile, back at the fleet ship, Serena is seen checking up on the status of the operation. She's quite delighted that the tide of the battle is overwhelmingly in their favor. After all, their fleet has already destroyed their largest hangar bay. Thanks to it, the mercenaries are now able to contain them in one place. As the enemy ship explodes, a wide victory smile is seen slowly drawing in Hito's face. Since it was the last of the enemies, Mimi then informs him that the area has now been cleared, since their scanners are not detecting any pirates nearby. However, it seems like there is still some fighting going on in the combat zone, but it's too far away, and it will be over before they get there. With that said, it seems this is the end of combat for Hito's team, so he asks what their score is. Mimi then informs him that they have approximately taken down 33 small ships and 3 medium ships, which means that they made more in the turbine system. The fleet's preemptive attack went well, which brought down their overall numbers. Although it's still a marvelous number, but for Hito's team, it is bad news since it means they can't expect a big reward. However, instead of sulking about it, Hito encourages his teammates to work harder, rampaging through the pirates' wrecked ships. With that said, Mimi and Elma then did as their captain ordered. At the end of the day, they still were able to acquire such a good haul. Although there weren't a lot of rare metals, but expensive high-tech products made up for it. Now that Mimi has finally received the notification that the battle is finally over, it seems like they can now go home. However, it seems like the enemy has taken over their base. That said, Hito is not as bothered considering he knows that the pirates don't stand a chance against the Empire's power suits and heavy weapons, so he is confident that there is nothing for them to do, which ultimately leads them to decide to finally go home. As they start charging the FTL drive, there's no doubt that they'll get home in no time. While they are on their way, Elma expresses her frustration at the fact that they have to look after that princess again. Hito then awkwardly laughs and states that they shouldn't worry as much, since it will only just be 1 more week. So Mimi asks what is he going to do after it's over. Elma suggested that if he wants to make more money, they should go to the disputed territory. With his skills and Krishna, he'd be swimming in cash. However, Hito immediately stated that he didn't want to go there, since as he clearly remembered in the game, the colonies were under martial law, and movement was restricted. All they could do was service and resupply their ships there. And Hito thinks that it doesn't look like this world he is in is much different. Apparently, there have been a lot of instances of passenger ships being attacked near a planet focused on tourism. As Elma heard Hito saying something about a tourism planet, she suggested that they can have a vacation there while they take out some pirates. However, inside Hito's mind, there's no rush to achieve his goal of buying a detached house, so they could probably take a detour. A few minutes have passed and Mimi has finally been alerted that they have arrived near the colony. With that said, Krishna will not disengage with the FTL drive and has been requested to dock. However, it seems like Hito noticed something off of the colony. It seems like there has been a power outage in some areas. As they look closer, it seems like a lot of ships are also leaving, so they start getting curious as to what is going on. Mimi tried calling the port authority. However, it seems like she can't get through. When she finally got connected, a very distressed man starts announcing that they are very busy, so Hito jumps in to talk to the phone instead. The port captain then asks if Hito's ship has power armor suited for combat. Hito, who knows he has one, stated that he does. The captain then immediately states that they need help since someone is attacking the colony. Hito and Elma immediately ask if there is some sort of reward. The captain then stated that they hadn't requested through the guild, since they are in such distress at the moment. As the captain stated that he will take care of it immediately, Hito agreed to guard the port to make some extra money. With that said, he then hops into one of his machine robots to control it. As he got inside, he slowly realized that it was a raid event, where he doesn't know what his target looks like. Also, a colony is attacked and needs someone to bring in a weapon to fight the attackers in hand-to-hand combat. He doesn't remember an event like this being in the game. However, since he is already here, might as well do his best. As his robot is activated, they are now going to open the cargo room hatch and go start making some more money. As soon as they got off the ship, they are immediately welcomed by the slimy-looking earthworm with so many sharp teeth. Hito punches it continuously until it gets dismembered. Although the monster enemies are attacking in numbers, it seems like Hito is quite enjoying the thrill himself. As one work approaches and gets killed, another one approaches once more. And Hito is fighting them with all smiles, since for him, might is definitely power. On the other hand, Mimi is stressed and worried of Hito's well-being at the moment. Since she couldn't take it anymore, she decided to call him. Hito then assures her that he is okay and that she shouldn't worry so much. After all, for him, the monster enemies are no match against his power armor. However, Hito is quite curious into knowing what these things really are. Elma, who is quite disgusted, also has the same reaction. Since the monsters look just like the things in the artificial meat factory, Mimi then hypothesizes that they might have some sort of relation. However, Elma herself doesn't know much about it, since all the employees have told her before that the monster couldn't live outside the factory. As Hito takes a closer look at the monsters, he realizes that Elma might be right since the small ones look almost exactly like the ones in the factory, but the big ones have arms or legs. So the three ask what's the meaning of this. On the other hand, Elma then noticed that Hito is just grappling with the monsters instead of using his powerful launcher. Hito then reasons that he just wants to try new things while he still has the chance. He almost never uses the power armor after all. There are many types of power armor, but in the game he mostly uses it for hand-to-hand fighting in close spaces. After all, what he truly needs in a situation like this is mobility or agility, but instead gets a little faster than a person. What is important is the armor and of course the power. Hito's armor is a TMPS-13 Rikushim Mk3 model, And as for its fixed armament, it has a super high voltage emission equipment in both hands called Harem. Other than that, it also has a shock amplification equipment in the leg called Chico, high-powered laser guns on both shoulders are called Shikiri, and for the best part, it can tackle with a shield up too. And this attack is called Fuchikamashi.